You can feel it in your body, can't you? The way your chest tightens when the message stays unread, or when the room goes quiet after you've shared something that matters. It's not dramatic, it's subtle, but it's real, and your body is honest about it. And maybe you smile anyway. Maybe you keep your voice light. Maybe you pretend it doesn't matter. Yet inside, something is scanning, measuring, waiting for the smallest signal that says, "You're okay, you're wanted, you did it right." If you've been living that way, I want you to hear this gently. You're not broken. You're not too sensitive. You're not needy in the way you've been taught to shame yourself for. You've been carrying a pattern that many people carry quietly, and it often begins long before we have language for it. Just take one breath with me here, not to fix anything, simply to arrive. Feel the air move in through your nose, down into your chest, and out again. Let your shoulders soften by 1 degree, because you don't need to brace for this moment. There's a reason that external validation can feel like medicine. There's a reason praise can lift you for a few hours, and then the old doubt returns like a tide. There's a reason someone's silence can feel like rejection even when your mind is saying they're probably busy. Your heart already knows this. Something in you recognizes the exhaustion of living on other people's reactions. And yes, I said exhaustion. Because chasing validation isn't just emotional, it's physical. It's the nervous system staying on alert, always watching for cues, tone, timing, facial expressions, likes, responses, invitations, exclusions. It's your energy trying to stay safe in a world that taught you safety could be taken away. So let's not attack this pattern. Let's understand it. Let's hold it like we would hold a tired child who has been trying so hard to earn love where along the way you learn to treat other people's reactions like a mirror that tells you whether you're safe to exist. If they approve, you breathe. If they're pleased, you settle. If they compliment you, you feel real. If they're disappointed, distracted, or distant, you shrink inside yourself and start rewriting your identity. Have you noticed how quickly it happens? One comment from a boss, and suddenly you're competent again. One unanswered message, and suddenly you're too much or not enough. One day where you don't get much done, and suddenly you feel guilty for taking up space on this planet. This is important to hear. Worth is not supposed to be this fragile. And yet, for so many people, it is. Not because they are weak, because they adapted. You may have become the good one, the responsible one, the high achiever, the pretty one, the helpful one, the one who doesn't cause problems, the one who reads the room and adjusts, the one who senses what people want and delivers it before they even ask. That talent has probably served you. It may have opened doors. It may have kept the peace. It may have protected you from conflict. It may have helped you feel included. And still, there's a cost. Because when your worth depends on being perceived a certain way, you are never fully resting. You're always managing, always curating, always slightly outside yourself, checking how you're landing. And I want to say this with so much tenderness. You deserve to come home to you. You deserve to feel worthy on the days when you sparkle and the days when you're quiet, on the days when you're productive and the days when you're simply surviving, on the days when everyone understands you and the days when you feel misunderstood. You're not imagining this. The hunger for validation is real, but it is not the truth of who you are. It's a strategy, and strategies can change. What if the ache for validation isn't vanity at all? What if it's a very old strategy your nervous system uses to stay connected? Because for many of us, especially early in life, approval wasn't just pleasant. It was safety. It was belonging. It was protection from shame, punishment, withdrawal, or emotional coldness. If love felt conditional, spoken or unspoken, you learned to monitor the conditions. You learned to be what was rewarded. You learned to hide what was punished. You learned to shape-shift. And now, even as an adult, your body may still believe this. If they're happy with me, I'm safe. So when someone's mood changes, when their energy shifts, when they don't respond the way you hoped, your nervous system doesn't interpret it as neutral information. It interprets it as threat. It says, something is wrong. Fix it. Earn your way back into safety. And if you've been doing that for years, of course you're tired. Let that settle for a moment, because this isn't a personal failure. It's a pattern built out of survival intelligence. Here's what I've come to understand. External validation becomes addictive when internal validation doesn't feel believable. Not when you don't know you're worthy in your mind, but when your body hasn't felt it consistently. So we're not just changing thoughts, we're changing the place inside you where worth lives. And that is sacred work. There's a loop that happens so quickly you barely notice it. You perform, you wait, you interpret, and then you either rise or collapse. It happens at work. It happens in relationships. It happens on social media. It happens in families. It even happens alone when you imagine someone's opinion of you and react to it. You perform, maybe through achievement, caretaking, attractiveness, intelligence, humor, spirituality, usefulness. Then you wait for the look, the response, the compliment, the invitation, the good job, the reassurance. Then you interpret. They liked it. They didn't like it. They're proud of me. They're disappointed. I'm safe. I'm not safe. And then you either rise or collapse. Do you feel that? If you rise, it's brief, a little rush, a little relief, but it never lasts. Because it wasn't anchored inside you. It was borrowed. And borrowed worth always has to be repaid. If you collapse, it's heavy. You might spiral, overthink, people please harder, explain yourself, apologize too much, or retreat and punish yourself internally. You might decide you shouldn't need anyone at all and build a wall so tall you can't breathe behind it. And I want you to know, neither the chasing nor the wall is your true self. They are both responses to fear. So let's name something clearly, because clarity is compassion. Wanting appreciation is human. Wanting to be seen is human. Wanting to matter to others is human. The pain comes when you confuse those desires with your identity, when you believe that being valued by others is the same thing as being valuable. They are not the same. Your worth is not a vote. It is not a rating. It is not a performance review. It is not a response time. It is not a relationship status. It is not the shape of your body, the size of your income, the number of people who choose you. Your worth is something you arrived with, like breath, like heartbeat, like the simple fact of being alive. And yes, your mind might have heard that before, but I want your body to feel it now. So gently, if you're willing, place one hand over your heart or your chest. Just a touch, not a ritual to impress anyone, a signal to your nervous system. I am here with you. Notice the warmth under your palm. Notice that you are living. Notice that you don't need to earn that aliveness. That aliveness is your birthright, and your worth is woven into it. Now, I want to offer you a different kind of mirror, one that doesn't wobble when someone is inconsistent. Because here's the hard truth. Many people don't say out loud. Other people's validation is unstable. Even loving people are inconsistent. Even kind people have moods. Even supportive partners get distracted. Even good friends miss things. Even bosses have bias. Even audiences change their minds. So if you make external validation your foundation is built on weather. Some days it will be sunny and you'll feel wonderful. Some days it will be stormy and you'll think you're unlovable. But you were never meant to live on weather. You were meant to live on the ground of your own being. So what does it actually mean to embrace your worth beyond external validation? It doesn't mean you stop caring. It doesn't mean you become cold or detached. It doesn't mean you pretend you don't need anyone. It means you stop outsourcing your belonging. It means you become the one who confirms you. And yes, I know that might sound big, so let's make it simple. Let's make it real. Internal worth is not a concept. It's a practice. It's a relationship. It's built the same way trust is built, through consistent evidence given gently over time. So if you've been trying to say affirmations that your body doesn't believe, that's not your fault. Your body isn't stubborn. It's protective. It wants proof. It wants safety. It wants consistency. We're going to give it that. Here is the first shift, and it's quiet, but it changes everything. Instead of asking, do they approve of me? You begin asking, am I approving of myself right now? Not in a fake way, in a present, honest way. Am I honoring my needs or abandoning myself to keep the peace? Am I speaking truth or editing myself for acceptance? Am I acting from love or from fear? Am I showing up for my life or auditioning for my life? This is not about judgment, it's about orientation. Because the moment you start looking inward for confirmation, you return to your power. And your heart already knows this. You have been leaving yourself in small ways, and it has hurt. Maybe you say yes when you mean no. Maybe you over-explain to avoid being misunderstood. Maybe you chase people who don't choose you clearly. Maybe you work harder than your body can sustain because rest feels like laziness. Maybe you keep trying to prove you're worthy of love by being endlessly easy. And I want to tell you something tender and true. You do not need to be easy to be loved. You do not need to be exceptional to be worthy. You do not need to be perfect to belong. Let that land, because it might be the sentence your younger self has been aching to hear. Now the second shift is this. You begin to notice your validation triggers, like you would notice the weather, not with panic, with awareness. A validation trigger is any moment where your worth starts to wobble because of something outside you. The unanswered message, the lack of praise, the criticism, the comparison, the rejection, the subtle change in tone, the feeling that you weren't chosen. When a trigger happens, the old pattern says, fix it, earn, chase, collapse, withdraw. But we're creating a new pattern, a calmer pattern, a truer pattern. When the trigger happens, you pause, even for 2 breaths. That pause is not small. That pause is where freedom begins. You might say to yourself softly, I notice I'm seeking proof right now. Not I'm pathetic, not I'm weak, not I shouldn't feel this. Just I notice. And then you add one more sentence. The sentence that starts to rewire the system. Proof is not the same as truth. Because your worth is truth. External V. Validation is proof. Proof comes and goes. Truth remains. What if I told you, you can be worthy even when someone doesn't see you? You can be worthy in a room where nobody claps. You can be worthy when your effort is invisible. You can be worthy when your voice shakes. You can be worthy when you're learning. You can be worthy when you fail. And yes, I said fail. Because failure does not erase worth. It reveals humanity. It reveals courage. It reveals that you are alive enough to try. So now let's talk about the most tender part, the part that usually lives under the validation hunger. For many people, the fear is not, they won't like me. The fear is, if they don't like me, I will be alone. And that fear is ancient. It lives in the body. It lives in the nervous system. It lives in the memory of times you reached for connection and didn't receive it. So when we say, stop seeking validation, what the body hears is, stop seeking connection. And your body refuses because it was made for connection. So we're not stopping your desire to be loved. We're healing the belief that love must be earned through self-abandonment. Here is one of the most grounding truths I can offer you. You are allowed to want approval without needing it to be okay. Feel the difference. Wanting is soft. Needing is sharp. Wanting says, I'd love to be seen. Needing says, if I'm not seen, I disappear. and you do not disappear. So the practice becomes this. When you want approval, you give yourself a deeper approval first. Not forced, not fake, real. You might say, I'm proud of how honest I was, or I honored myself by resting, or I did my best with what I had today, or I didn't abandon myself even when I was scared. This is important. Internal validation must be specific to be believable. Generic affirmations can feel like floating words. Specific acknowledgments land in the body like warm stones. So instead of, I am worthy, which can feel too big at first, try something more true for your nervous system. I am learning to stay with myself. I am safe to be human. I am allowed to take up space. I am worthy of kindness, including my own. I can disappoint someone and still love myself. Do you feel how these have texture? Now let's go even deeper into the moment where external validation feels most addictive. It's often after you've given something, after you've offered love, effort, talent, care, time, energy. You give, and then you wait. And waiting can feel unbearable, because waiting is the moment your worth feels suspended in someone else's hands. So we're going to change what you do while you wait. While you wait, you come back to yourself. You breathe. You soften your jaw. You unclench your belly. You remind your body, I am still here. I am still safe. And then you ask a beautiful, anchoring question. Did I abandon myself to get that? This question is powerful because it removes the focus from outcome and returns it to integrity. If you did abandon yourself, you don't punish yourself. You learn. You hold yourself. You adjust next time. If you did not abandon yourself, if you spoke truth, acted with love, and honored your limits, then you affirm your worth regardless of what returns. Because this is the heart of it. When you know you acted in alignment, you don't need the world to confirm you. You may still enjoy it, you may still appreciate it, but you don't need it to stand upright inside your own soul. This is where true self-worth begins, alignment. And now, I want to speak to the part of you that is afraid this will make you alone. Because sometimes we fear that if we stop performing, we will lose people. And sometimes that fear is not wrong. Some relationships are built on the version of you that bends. Some dynamics rely on your overgiving. Some people are comfortable when you are small, agreeable, predictable. So when you begin to embrace your worth, something may shift. Not as punishment, as clarity. And yes, that can feel like grief. So if you feel sadness rising as you hear this, let it be welcome. Grief is not a sign you're doing it wrong. Grief is a sign you're telling the truth. Here's what I've come to understand. When you stop chasing validation, you stop chasing people who cannot meet you. You begin to choose differently. You begin to set boundaries without rage. You begin to speak with less apology. You begin to rest without guilt. And your nervous system may protest at first. It may say, this is dangerous. So, Be gentle. Be patient. You are not forcing a new identity. You are returning to an old truth. Now let's offer one practical, embodied practice you can take into daily life, especially in moments of trigger. I call it the inner confirmation practice. When you notice yourself craving validation, refreshing, checking, seeking reassurance, pause and do 3 steps. First, name what you want. I want to feel seen. I want to feel chosen. I want to feel appreciated. I want to feel safe. Second, offer yourself what you can offer right now. Not everything. Just one honest dose. I see that you're trying. I choose you in this moment. I appreciate your effort today. You are safe with me. Third, take one aligned action that supports your worth. Maybe you stop scrolling. Maybe you drink water. Maybe you step outside. Maybe you say no to something you don't want. Maybe you finish one small task for yourself, not for approval. This is how worth becomes embodied through consistent self-care and self-honoring actions. And notice how different this is from forcing positivity. We are not pretending you don't want love. We're giving love a home inside you. Now, can we talk about comparison? Because comparison is one of the sneakiest forms of external validation seeking. Comparison says, "Tell me where I stand." And it can look like scrolling and feeling behind. It can look like looking at someone else's relationship and questioning yours. It can look like measuring your body, your success, your spirituality, your healing timeline, and here's the truth that quietly frees you. Comparison is a desperate search for certainty in a world that doesn't offer it. But your path is not meant to be ranked. It's meant to be lived. Somewhere deep inside, you've always known you are not here to outshine anyone. You are here to be you. So when comparison rises, you can meet it with compassion and clarity. I'm looking for reassurance again. And then you return to your own inner metric. Am I growing in truth? Am I living more aligned than I was? Am I kinder to myself than I used to be? Am I listening to my body more? These questions are not competitive. They are nourishing, and your heart already knows this. Nourishment is what you've been craving, not perfection. Now, I want to open one more loop, because there is something most people don't talk about when it comes to validation. External validation can feel like love, but it can also be a substitute for self-trust. If you don't trust your own perception, you will look to others to tell you what is real. If you don't trust your own decisions, you will seek constant reassurance. If you don't trust your own feelings, you will ask people to interpret you. If you don't trust your own worth, you will ask people to measure you. So part of embracing your worth is rebuilding self-trust, in small ways. Self-trust is built when you keep promises to yourself, especially tiny ones. Not grand declarations, tiny ones. I will rest for 10 minutes. Then you rest. I will drink water. Then you drink it. I will say no to this. Then you say no. I will stop explaining myself to someone committed to misunderstanding me. Then you stop. Every time you do what you said you would do, your nervous system begins to believe, I am safe with me. And when you are safe with you, external validation becomes dessert, not oxygen. Let that settle. Dessert, not oxygen. Because you have been trying to breathe other people's approval, and your lungs were never designed for that. Now I want to bring this into relationships, because this is where the wound and the healing both become so visible. If you've been seeking validation, you might overgive to feel secure. You might test people without realizing it, waiting to see if they'll reassure you. You might feel anxious when they're quiet and interpret it as rejection. You might shapeshift to stay chosen. And none of that makes you unlovable. It makes you human. But here is the liberation. You can learn to ask for what you need without making your worth dependent on the answer. So instead of hinting, performing, hoping they'll notice, you can say something simple and true. I'd love a little reassurance right now. I'm feeling tender, and I'd like to feel close. I'm interpreting your silence in scary ways. Can we connect for a moment? This is powerful because you're not pretending, you're not manipulating, you're not making them responsible for your identity. You're simply allowing yourself to be real, and if they respond with care, you receive it, and you still hold your worth inside you. If they don't respond with care, you grieve, and you still hold your worth inside you, because your worth is not negotiated. Now maybe part of you is thinking, but what if I'm too much? Oh, sweetheart, you have been asking that question for too long. Here is a gentler question. What if I'm finally being honest? Honesty can feel like too much when you've been trained to be small. And the truth is, the right people won't require you to disappear. They may not always understand perfectly. They may need time. They may be learning too, but they won't punish you for having a heart. So when you feel too much, try this. Place your hand on your chest again and say quietly, I am not too much. I am present. Feel the difference. Not I am perfect, not I never need anything, just I am present. Presence is the antidote to performance. Now, we're coming to the most important turning point, the place where external validation loses its grip. It happens when you begin to experience your worth as something inherent, not earned. And inherent worth has a certain feeling. It feels like steadiness. It feels like warmth. It feels like a quiet dignity. It feels like you don't have to prove you belong. When you begin to build internal worth, It doesn't feel like hype. It feels like steadiness, like your feet on the ground after years of tiptoeing. And you will still have moments where you wobble. That's okay. Wobbling doesn't mean you failed. It means you are learning. So here is a phrase I want to give you, one you can return to when you're triggered, when you're waiting, when you're craving proof. Proof is not the same as truth. Let that become your anchor. Because the truth is, you are worthy right now. The proof may arrive later or not at all. And you don't need to chase proof to be true. Now, let's bring this into the places that steal you from yourself. At work, when you don't receive recognition, you remind yourself, I know what I contributed. In your body, when you look in the mirror and criticize, you remind yourself, this body carries my life. In relationships, when someone's mood shifts, you remind yourself, their mood is not my identity. On your phone, when you want to check, you remind yourself, I can soothe myself before I seek outside. You are not cutting yourself off from people. You are connecting to yourself first. And yes, you will still want love and appreciation and tenderness. This isn't about becoming unreachable. It's about becoming unshakable. Unshakable doesn't mean you never feel. It means your feelings don't define your worth. Unshakable means you can feel hurt without concluding you are unlovable. You can feel rejected without concluding you are worthless. You can feel disappointed without concluding you are failing at life. It means you become the one who stays. And that, to me, is the deepest form of self-love. I once knew someone who lived inside the validation loop so deeply that every day felt like an audition. She would reread messages, replay conversations, overthink her tone, and work herself to the edge because the moment she stopped receiving praise, she felt like she vanished. One day, after a small criticism that sent her spiraling, she sat on her bed and whispered, I don't want to live like this anymore. Not as a dramatic vow, as a tired truth. She began with one practice. Every evening, she wrote down 3 specific ways she honored herself that day, even if nobody noticed. Within weeks, her body began to soften, and she said something that stayed with me. It's like I finally moved back into my own life. You are being given that invitation too. So now, as we begin to close, I want to bless the part of you that has been trying so hard. I see you. I see the effort. I see the longing. I see the fear under the longing. And I want you to know the part of you that seeks validation is not your enemy. It is a messenger. It is saying, please come closer. Please choose me. Please stay. So choose you. Not once as a concept, daily as a practice. Choose you when you're tempted to over-explain. Choose you when you're tempted to abandon your needs. Choose you when you're tempted to earn love through exhaustion. Choose you when you're tempted to shrink. And when you forget, because sometimes you will, choose you again. this is how worth is built, not in perfection, in return. Like a seed that doesn't bloom because it was praised, but because it was tended consistently in quiet soil. You are that seed. You are the soil. You are the one tending. Take one more breath with me. Let it be slow. Let it be kind. And as you exhale, imagine setting down the old job of proving yourself. You do not have to audition for love. You do not have to negotiate your worth. You do not have to become someone else to belong. Your heart already knows this. You have always been worthy. Proof is not the same as truth, and the truth is living in you, even now, steady and whole as you come home to yourself.